Hey, just something really quick before we start this video. Unfortunately, we're not able to implement the full native Google or sign in with Google method. And there appears to be some issues with either the Supabase backend or the Google sign-in iOS SDK. I talk about it a little bit more in the later down in the video, and there's some links in the description that will reference like some Stack Overflow posts and also some GitHub issues that relate to the issue. And I hope you guys enjoy. We're still continuing with the series, and we still implement we partially implement the sign in with Google. And once that issue is fixed, then we should be able to fully implement it without any issues. But until then, we're going to continue on, and I'll probably make a follow-up video once it's stamped out, coming back and correcting it. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Peace. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. This is Jason. In this video, we're going to be continuing our Superbase series. This time, we're going to be implementing sign-in with Google, and we're going to be integrating it with Superbase. So let's get into that. But first, before we even start, I want to do some refactoring. Let's move this into its own view model, just to clean things up. We might as well create a new group, call this sign-in, and create a new file, sign-in view model. Hit enter, paste that in there, and then we can move our sign-in view in here. Any other things we want to do? Let's see. Let's check our home view. This looks fine. Sign in with Apple looks fine. We'll keep the result up there. All right. So what do we need to implement our sign in with Google? First, we need to bring in a package. I believe it's a Google sign in. Let's look up Swift. Integrate Google sign in right here. And get started. Swift package manager. Here we go. We're gonna do this. They have an option for CocoaPods if you guys are using that, or you working with Swift package manager. It's a lot. It's a lot easier. So we're gonna copy that and then just add it to the packages. Paste that in here. Hit enter. Add a package. And bring in. I believe we can bring in just sign in Swift. I'm gonna bring them both though, but I'm pretty certain. Actually, let's see what this says. Oh. So I guess bring in both. And for our project, we're not going to be using the what do you call it? The default button they give us. And the reason for that is because if you ever implement this in your app and use the way Google does it, then you'll have a very mixed match between your sign-ins buttons. Like the Apple sign-in has a way different view than the Google one. And that's why I like to make my custom buttons. The only thing you have to be aware of or mindful is they still have to meet Apple's like guidelines. So look up. So it's important to look those up, especially if you want to put this on the App Store. And now, all right. So we did this. Now we have to get an OAuth client ID. Your app needs an OAuth client ID to identify. Let's hit create. We have to create a new project. Let's call this Supabase. And let's call this Superbase. Let's just call it Superbase. I'll call it Supabase Auth. Product name. Please specify the product name that will show. Supabase Auth. Next. Where are you calling this from? iOS. Now we need to put in our bundle ID. Oh, minimize this. Go up here to your target. Just copy and paste it. Hit create. Download client configuration, and let's copy this client ID. Let's hit done. After you create take note of the client ID string, which will be configured in the Google Sign-in app. Oh, so you could either download it or do the copy. I'm gonna use the copy because I copied it to my clipboard. Get an OAuth server ID. Most apps. Now I'm gonna paste this in here just to have it in case I need it. Most apps will need you to pass the identity of signed in users. All right, so we'll skip this get OAuth server client ID. I believe we're not gonna need that for the Superbase implementation. And now we're gonna configure your application project. We don't need that. Alright, so we need this. And now we need to add that client ID, but reversed. Let's open this credentials plist. And the plist contains the reverse client ID. Alright, so now we have two things. We need to add the OAuth client ID. And we can add it to the plist like this, but actually there's another way we can do it. If we make this bigger, if we go to info here, we can just add copy the GID client ID, the name, or you could type it in. And then we'll go back to my browser and I'm going to grab the client ID. And I don't think I copied it. You could also grab it from the plist if you downloaded it. All right, now that's showing up here. And I'm gonna click on the plist. Excuse me. Where is it? Oh, there we go. We need to use this reverse client ID. We're gonna copy it, and I believe we need to add it here to the URL types. Let me refer back to the documentation. Yeah, so we're gonna go to URL types, put this in here, and that's all we need to do. Row editor, yep. And that's it for this step. We don't have to worry about the optional step. We're not using any of this. Now we can say add it to your app. This is for Mac OS. Here's SwiftUI. So we need to go to here, and then you go here and we can copy that in. We need to import Google sign in. And I'm gonna just highlight this and do Control I, fix the formatting. Go back to the documentation. Attempt to restore the user sign-in state when your app starts up. I don't think we need to do this step because Supabase will implement something like this where Superbase will have the session and it'll know whether the user is signed in or not. So we're gonna skip this for now, and now it's saying we want us to add the sign-in button. Now this is where we have to add our sign-in button. So let's do that first. So go back to sign-in view and let's add another button. So let's embed this button in VStack. This should be shifted. I'm gonna copy this, paste it in here. Not the best thing to do, right? But I'm gonna delete everything and then just say Google and sign in with Google. Let's add some spacing of 40. Command B and refresh this. And let's open up this so we see if we can print. Yeah, there you go. So the button is working. Now we have to figure out how we're implementing all this stuff. So let's do this in our view model. It looks like when we tap when the button is tapped, we have to call this. So let's open up our view model. Let's create a function, func sign in with Google. We'll probably have to add like async throws and make it return a user, but I'm not gonna do that yet. I'm just gonna bring in this code, and we're gonna get an error saying we have to import sign in with Google or Google sign in. Root view controller. It says this uses the default model. It looks like we need a view controller, and if we refer back to our sign in Apple, we have the top VC right here. I'm gonna copy this, paste it in here, and we can just return, and we'll paste this in here. Command B. And the last thing I want to do is I'm gonna highlight this, hit Control I. And why is this? Let's see, GID sign in, shared instance sign in with presenting. Looks like there's an extra comma, or there's an extra parentheses. Let's see if it presents something. So we'll go back to our sign in, and let's call the view model dot sign in with Google. I'm not sure if it'll work here. Yeah, I think we have to run this on our simulator. So it looks like we haven't added a sign out button to our application. So let's do that. We need to go to our home view, and let's just create a button with an action and a label. The label will be text. We'll just say sign out, and let's make the foreground color .red. And in the action, we need to create a sign out function. Func sign out, and let's see, we might need to call async await. Let's see, sign out. Yeah, it's async throws, so we need to mark this async throws, and we need to say try await. Command V. We go back here, and we just need to call the auth manager shared sign out, and we need to do all of this in a task, and let's create a do catch block so we can properly handle any errors. And we need to say try await, and we can just print unable to sign out, unable to sync. Now let's run our app. Sign out. Oh. Alright, if you saw, it looks like we need to update the way we're handling the sign in and sign out, because when we hit sign out, the UI doesn't change, and you have to rerun the app to see it. And we'll do that in a bit. Let's see if the sign in Google part is working though. Hit continue. Hey, so it's showing the sign in with Google screen. So that's really good. So let's continue with that, and we'll come back to this home once we have our sign in with Google set up, and we will handle the refreshing of the UI. So we go back to our sign in view model, guard that result equals sign in result. What do we have access to in our result? All right, so we can grab the user from this sign-in result. Actually, let's say let's sign in result.user. So we'll have access to the ID token, and let's go to our auth manager and create the sign-in with Google, and let's see if we can use just an ID token. This is going to be async throws app user. So let session equal try await client dot auth dot sign in with credentials dot init. So nonce can be an optional. See what happens if we just do the ID token. And let's print session and print session dot user. Yep. All right, this is all the same. Now we go to our sign in view model. We'll call that in here. If you saw last video, you might see something that's off or something we have to account for, which is this will be asynchronous, a lot of asynchronous stuff, and we'll have a completion that's going to be taken in an async await function, or async, a function that async throws. So how do we want to account for that in our app? You might need to sign in with Google Helper. Let's keep things similar and let's use a sign in with let's create a class for the sign in function, the sign in with Google, because we could just handle that all in here, but let's be good programmers and let's extrapolate and follow similar patterns. So we create our sign in Google, and we could call this what does this belong to? Oh, this belongs to here. Move this up top because this is it's throwing everything off. And I'm gonna cut this, and let's create a function called, we'll call this sign in with Google Flow. And very similarly, we can create a completion, make this at escaping. And what do we want to return? Should we follow similar patterns? Sure. Let's do that. Sign in Google result, just an ID token. And I believe we had a result. Whoa. And the result was sign in Google result and an error. Command B. Now we need to use our completion handler. This would be failure NS error. We can call that here, and we can say this is a success.init user.id token. Command B. Token string. Let's see. Let's say let ID token equal user.id token. ID token string. Command B now. All right. And let's create another function called start sign in with Google Flow. Mark this async throws, and we'll say, what was it? Try await with check throwing continuation. And I believe we want to return a sign in with Google result. So sign in Google result. And we do command. This is the continuation, and we just say self dot sign in with Google Flow result, and we can say continuation dot resume with result. Let's bring in weak self. Void any retainment cycles. This is successful. So now we can say async throws, and we'll call Google result. Then we can return try await auth manager shared Google result.id token. Command B now. We had to add the app user. All right. Oh, now we can actually copy this, and then all we'll have to change is this to sign in with Google. Command B. Succeeded. Well, we did a lot of stuff, and we haven't even looked at Superbase. Let's go back to Superbase, and I believe we'll have to allow, or we have to do something to our project to allow sign in with Google. At least we have to enable it. So we go to providers. Where is Google? Right here. Client ID, client secret. All right. Let's go back to I'm going to look for that thing we had downloaded. This is the client ID. We don't have a client secret. So is that good or bad? I do not know. I believe this is required, right? Yeah. I don't think the client secret is going to be used. Not 100% sure. We'll find out. hit save, because if you guys remember from the first video, the service ID and the secret key weren't used for the way we handled our sign in with Apple functionality. So let's run this bad boy, see what happens. All right, and I'm gonna open up the terminal just so we can see. All right, let's go back to the simulator, hit sign in with Google. All right, and we can hit continue. Looks like we have I believe it's a warning we have. I think it's saying that this has to be done on the main thread. But let's go back to our sign in with Google, and let's go back to Superbase actually before we continue. All right, so that's the user that we have so far. It's just this is the sign in with Apple, and for signing with Google, oh, a lot of stuff happened. Oh, error signing in. Looks like we had an error. All right, now it's time for some debugging. So let's go to our auth manager. It looks like we're probably failing here because we're not printing any, yeah, because if otherwise it would sign in. Let's run this, see if we even get here. Continue. Ah, we do get here. So I'm gonna try one thing, which I'm gonna pass in a nonce as well with our ID token. So how are we generating the nonce here? Looks like it's these two functions that generate our nonce. So let's go to our, I believe it's at the bottom of our sign-in view. We go to our sign-in view model, and at the bottom is our class, our sign-in Google class. Let's add these, and this is gonna get a little messy, so excuse us. We'll clean this up in a sec. We need to import CryptoKit. We need to get a random nonce, and we need to add a nonce here, string. This is a cool thing about you doing it this way. So in the future, any changes you have to make, it'll be a lot quicker since we have this model. And we can just say random nonce string, command B, do self. Let's do weak self. Actually, I think what we could do too is we can probably create it here. Let nonce equal random nonce, and we can just pass in the nonce here. And we can hit tab on this to fix our formatting. So now we have a random nonce. And I believe in our auth manager, we need to account for this. Oh, we need to add our nonce here, that's why. String, and let's copy this. We just have to change it to Google. Command B, we'll probably have an error. Yeah, missing parameter nonce. Fix. All right, I think it runs now. Let's see. All right. All right, so this runs. Let's sign in with Google. Continue. Ooh, we still get an error. All right, y'all, so I've been doing a lot of digging, a lot of research, been roaming around Stack Overflow and GitHub issues. It appears that the native sign in with Google capability is not available right now. And that's because the Google sign-in SDK, they give us an ID token, but that ID token actually contains a nonce as well inside of it. That has given us and Superbase some issues, and there's actually, I'll put the links in the description. There's a Stack Overflow post that helped and almost helped me get to the solution. And there's also some GitHub issues that were raised that haven't been resolved yet, but they are talking about similar things. I think they were on Flutter though, but the issue appears to be like on the backend side. It's either on the backend side or on the Google sign-in iOS SDK side. So we can't fully integrate it right now. Although if you run the app, the Google sign-in sheet is showing perfectly, and they're working on getting it fixed to where the ID token that's given to us once we sign in can be passed to the Supabase Auth module, but at the moment it's not working. And so yeah, we're not gonna wrap it up here yet though, because I want to do some cleaning up and some refactoring. You guys see we have these issues, and I'm gonna make our sign-in class run on the main actor, and let's do the same for the sign-in with Apple. Let's do this to the sign-in view model, command V. Now let's go in here. Let's create a new group for manager. Put our auth in there, and let's put a sign-in Apple in there. And typically in a project, I would create an auth folder as well. Let's just do that, because you might have like a database manager in here and other stuff like that. So these are all auth related, so I'm gonna put it in here, and I'm gonna create a new file. Call this one sign in Google, and we go to our sign-in view model and cut this out. Then we go to here and paste it in. Put a little space, command B. Oh, we gotta import CryptoKit, command B, and we gotta bring UI. Oh, and we gotta bring in Google. Let's delete this. We don't need it in here, and we don't need this. So in our sign in Google function or file, we put this. Now we have Command B. Boom. So this should get rid of those warnings, and now our code is a lot cleaner. That's the thing I'll do. So if in our sign in, well, let's run the app. So the app is running. Our sign in with Apple is working, right? I'm gonna sign in, and oh, I gotta remember my password. So I sign in, right, and this has all this information. And now if I sign out, it signs me out, but it's not reflected on the UI. So if I run this again, it should be signed out. Yep. And the way to account for that is we can make the, where's the home? Instead of a state var, we can make this a binding var. And we would have to make optional. And then we could cut out this vstack. We could say if let app user equal app user, paste that in there. If we sign out, we can say self.appUser equals nil, Command V. Now we gotta, so this is our preview. We have to fix. I'm gonna cut this and I'm gonna hit dot constant. That's how you create a binding var for the preview. Hit Command B. Now we gotta go back to our content view and make this binding. So just put a binding. You can lowercase that, get rid of that warning. Now we're good to go. Let's run. Let's hit run. This loads successfully. Let's do sign in with Apple. Continue, sign in. Boom, it's showing this. Now if we sign out, haha. And I'm not gonna keep doing that. Going back and forth, back and forth. But that'll wrap it up for this video. Sucks that we couldn't fully implement the sign in with Google, but it's pretty much there. And I'm gonna create a follow-up video whenever this issue is resolved and we can successfully sign in with Google. And of course, oh, you could also use like the way that they have it in their, like the Supabase way where you present a Safari view controller. That's one way around this, but if you want to go with like a native flow, something that'll look good, then we're kind of stuck. But the good thing is once it's resolved, all we'll have to do is go to our sign in Google. All we'll have to do is go in our auth manager, and we'll either our auth manager or our sign in Google file. Most likely our auth manager, and we, depending on what or how it's solved, maybe we'll just have to call Supabase Auth. Maybe we could do something like we did up here, but at the moment it's not working. And if you see here in my auth manager, I was like playing around trying to solve this, but got no luck. And then I did some more digging and found out, oh, this is a bigger issue that we can't really bypass at the moment. Although maybe I'm wrong, and if someone has done it before, please drop down in the comment section. Let us know. But I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. The next thing we're doing is just regular email sign-in and registration. So if the user just wants to use their own email and enter in a password and create a password, depending if they're registering or logging in. So I'll see you on the next one. Peace. I'm riding between it all in this perfect place.